Hey there, parents. Look, if tongue and lip ties were just a tissue problem, then why do so many babies still struggle after they've been released? Why do adults with no visible ties still have airway issues, jaw pain, poor posture, and chronic tension? The truth is, ties are rarely the root problem here, tension is. And here's another truth that most people aren't telling you. When your baby with a tongue tie also struggles with reflux or colic or constipation or can't sleep lying flat, then the tie isn't really the whole problem here. It's a sign your baby's nervous system is stuck in a stressful mode and struggling with nervous system dysregulation. And this is a problem that goes one level deeper than just the tongue and the lip tie. Now, research shows that 10% of babies are currently dealing with a tongue or a lip tie. But babies who also have digestive issues, sleep disturbances, and they can't calm down, it's really four separate problems. But what it's telling us is there's one nervous system showing up in four different dysfunctional ways. And the revision addresses the tissue itself, but if the nervous system tension remains, then the body is likely to recreate the restriction, and the perfect storm of neurological dysfunction still marches on. It's not a surgical failure, it's your baby's body trying to protect itself from something much deeper. So today's video is all about those parents who you're dealing with these children. You've seen these revisions that don't work completely. You see a toddler or a young child who has the revision and then still struggles with sensory issues or speech delays or motor tone or even coordination and development challenges. And so today I want you to understand why these things come back and why these struggles seem to persist even after surgical techniques. And most importantly, why the nervous system and this foundational root cause that we always talk about is really the leading piece that we have to focus on to see these kids not just feed well, but sleep well and digest well and really regulate and calm themselves. Now, we have a family in the practice who they're living this in the best way possible. When this baby was born, almost from the minute they were born, it was trouble latching. There was constant feeding issues. Mom really remembers those first few hours not as a joyful experience, but as incredibly stressful because the baby would just cry constantly. And for months, this really went on where mom struggled to nurse. Even when she did, the baby was gassy and fussy. And this was a baby that really had to be held almost every minute of every day, or they would arch their back, they would cry, and they would obviously be showing those signs of discomfort. Forget about this family taking a car ride. 5 minutes in the car was almost undoable for them. They were so overwhelmed as a family by trying to manage this child and the struggles that they were having. So they even pursued this tongue tie revision. But what really made the difference is when we finally addressed the nervous system first, after that procedure, we saw everything improve because the adjusting frequency we were on was enough to keep the stress off of that little body. And they could literally see the relaxation after each adjustment. The real breakthrough for this family was when they finally were able to take a long trip overseas where they had to go on plane rides and car rides and go to restaurants and new environments and new beds and all of those things, which normally would have triggered this massive stress response, instead went really, really well for this family. And the question a lot of times we get asked is, well, how does this apply? Well, when we think about the nervous system, neurological tone is going to dictate soft tissue tone. When your baby's nervous system runs in high stress mode, what we call sympathetic dominance, muscles throughout the body are going to stay in that tense state. And this is even including those tiny little muscles and tissues around the tongue and the jaw. So if you think of your nervous system like a car, it has two pedals. We have your sympathetic gas pedal to speed everything up, and we have your parasympathetic brake pedal that slows everything down. And when we have subluxation present, especially in the upper cervical part of the neck or in the cranial bones, that gas pedal is constantly stuck in the on position. And it really means that the brake pedal doesn't work at all. So your baby's entire body is functioning in a fight or flight protective state. Now, when we're in that sympathetic dominance, the body creates tissue restrictions, not for any reason other than just protection. It's a protection response to make sure that we're protecting from a deeper dysfunction that the nervous system is trying to tell us to recognize. The ties, the stress, the irritation, these are really compensatory protections. They're not the root cause themselves. The tongue has neurological and fascial connections. And when there's tension, it can often show up with tightening, shortening, or what appears as that tongue tie. Now, the other layer that we have to talk about is prenatal or maternal stress. And when we have birth interventions and we have trauma and toxins and nutritional challenges, every one of those is adding layers of tension into the systems. So, why some babies have ties while others don't is a common question we get asked, and it's really about the accumulation of stress during critical developmental periods. Prenatal stress in the sympathetic nervous system for mom and baby frequently become overstimulated or hardwired for stress, and the two are talking to each other at all times during that prenatal period. So, this alters the baby's nervous system development. Now, like I said, when you add in birth interventions, you have forceps or vacuum or C section, these are going to apply forces to the cervical spine and those cranial bones, and they're going to create that opportunity for subluxation, which will dampen the vagus nerve, but it overstimulates that sympathetic fight or flight side of the nervous system. Now, in that state, that's where we're going to see trouble with jaw coordination, swallowing reflexes, digestion, heart rate, regulation, immune function, all of those things as a byproduct of an overly stressed, dysfunctional nervous system. And without addressing the tension, the function really doesn't change. The nervous system will still remain stuck in that stressful sympathetic dominant state. The muscles are still not going to know how to relax. We will continue to see posture, movement, and breathing patterns that have not changed. We have to get to the nervous system and address that foundational piece first. And that's really if we want lasting change, because that's what, as a parent, you're probably looking for your child, which is why you're watching this video in the first place. So the goal or the key or what we really do best is we find those areas where we have that dysfunction. We activate the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic side of the nervous system to see rest, relaxation, and regulation come back into the equation. By doing so, you also see a shift, structural balance, proper alignment. These things are restored so that tension and that dysregulated pattern starts to go away. Because if the nervous system doesn't feel safe, the body is always going to go back to that tightened state. And this is why we have to kind of have that combination of good soft tissue care, but we need that foundational piece first. Now, what are the number one things that parents are telling us? Sleep improvements, digestion improvements, congestion seems to go away. The baby is happier, more regulated. I think I said it already, sleeps better. These are signs that the nervous system is shifting into a more balanced state. So look, sometimes the journey to get here is really not easy and it's not as straightforward as we want it to be. And we really end up stuck in stress mode ourselves. But what neurologically focused chiropractic care really does best is it works to release and clear out the underlying nervous system tension so everything can shift and improve. This isn't about just feeding. It's not just about sleep or comfort or digestion. This is really about the ability of your baby to thrive. So if you're ready to address the foundation instead of chasing symptoms or going back and forth to another revision, then we absolutely want to talk to you about this today. At our office, Pure Chiropractic in Livonia, Michigan, this is exactly what we specialize in. So your little one and your entire family deserves root cause solutions that don't just chase symptoms, but get all the way to the foundation of how the nervous system functions best. That's where lasting results truly come from. We look forward to seeing you.